Hello. Outrage at Wickes. Wickes is a building superstore. It's not in the USA, but I don't know what you have, home base or something. Anyway, Wickes used to have the slogan, "You can build a whole house at Wickes." And doing some research, I was looking for that slogan and I discovered that at some time in the possibly not too distant past, Wickes had changed its advertising. Well, it's the company motto, and it's now "Be House Proud with Wickes," which could, you might say, have a secondary meaning. I wouldn't have thought of that at the time, but now that this outrage has blown up, maybe there was another a sub-meaning to this. What was the outrage? Well, it was this. Just a minute, let me find it. Oh, just a minute, this is too big. I'll bring it down a bit. Right, that's it. There's a boycott campaign over COO's comment. The COO is the Chief of Operations, that's it. I don't know what a Chief of Operations is, but he has a delightfully camp set of initials, hasn't he? Cool. All right, well, he said that trans-critical shoppers are not welcome in stores. This is the article. It's internet retailing, so it's a trade paper. Wickes has come under fire by shoppers, resulting in a boycott campaign and tumbling share price after its chief operating officer, Fraser Longdon, said shoppers with trans-critical views are bigots who are not welcome in our stores. Now, I know this may come as a surprise to some of you, but I generally, in England, in Britain indeed, it is not usually fashionable to go to a building superstore and start buttonholing the staff to give them your opinion on trans and LGBTQ plus issues. I don't know, maybe this is something that happens elsewhere, but it doesn't happen here. So unless you actually give people a questionnaire when they come into the shop, how would he know about that? Anyway, they are, me too, we are not welcome in Wickes stores apparently. Longdon, who spoke at an online trans summit, online, I mean, what an idiot. Online, every single word recorded and out on air before anybody can say, put some sound insulation into that one. Online trans summit hosted by Pink News yesterday. Okay, so Pink News got a hold of this guy and asked him to expound. And Longdon said, "I don't think I'm ever going to change some of the bigots out there's minds." All right, yeah, I suppose. I'm never going to win that argument with them. And he referred to a lot of people as bigots. Now, maybe I should point out at this point that most of his customers, well, many of his customers are just ordinary DIY householders, but I'd say most of them are actually builders, people in the building trade. Who are not famous for their embrace of fashionable views. Let's just leave it at that. Responding to the threats of a boycott, he said, "The other 10% are just hot air." That's what he thinks of the customers. Whatever happened to customers always being right? And they will go and buy a tin of paint in the nearest place to them. So can you imagine how dismissive that is? He's saying, well, people come and buy anyway because they don't care and they're just talking a lot of hot air and their views don't really matter. I think he might find that this isn't actually the case, but my theory is that this is a class thing. He thinks most of the people who are shopping at Wickes are either builders or people who don't have the money to pay for builders. And so they're lower class. in other words. And they're not as important as him because they don't earn his sort of money. I bet he's never used a saw in his life, apart from school, which I tried to find out what school he went to, but I'll bet you it's posh. But yeah, that's my opinion. I could be completely wrong about that. He could be one of those people who came out of the working classes and then, having attained the heights, is busily pulling up the ladder after himself. Okay, that might have been us before. Wickes, you know, tough guy, building supply place. It might not be us afterwards, and equally if they do come in and buy a tin of paint and behave in that way, they're not welcome to our stores anyway. Behave in what way? This is thought police stuff, but well, okay, it's not really thought police stuff. What it is him being an important upper class person, whatever his origins, and ascribing to the working classes the sort of unworthy thoughts that put them below him, that make him much better than them, to coin a phrase from Anna Kasparian. One Twitter user said, "So Wickes thinks anyone in the UK that thinks biological females deserve fair and safe sport is a bigot. That's an awful lot of mums, dads, grandparents, brothers, and of course females who'll be taking their bigoted business elsewhere." And yes, indeed, they will. I'd be out of Wickes. Oh, I'm in Germany now, aren't I? Okay. So we've got this here from Peter Tatchell. Now, I've met Peter Tatchell, and he's a very intelligent chap. So part of my not understanding what's going on is to do with this tweet he put, because this is the tweet of somebody who isn't very intelligent. And I know, as I said, Tatchell is really intelligent. Oh, before I go on, I'll tell you I'm Granniopteryx. I'm on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute and Minds. I'm also on Twitter and Gab. That's where I let you know when I've uploaded a new video. All the links are in the description, as are the links to donation sites if you want to use any of them. But the really good thing you can do for this channel and this video is like this video, click like, and subscribe to my channel. Oh, and click the bell. I think you're supposed to do that too. And if you're on YouTube, remember, check you are actually still subscribed. Okay, back to Mr. Tatchell. If the Wickes boss said racists were not welcome, there would have been no backlash. Most people would have applauded him. So why the double standards over transphobia? Well, because it's not double standards. Mr. Tatchell has the double standards here, because racists are people who dislike other groups of people just for the way they look, or basically just for the way they look. Transphobia is an irrational fear of trans people. Well, some trans people are pretty scary. That's not irrational. They show all signs of mental illness. Well, indeed, gender dysphoria is a mental illness. Some people manage to change their apparent sex and live their lives normally as the other sex. That's happened many times. But they are now becoming a minority to a bunch of, well, usually mentally disturbed misogynists who have taken over. You know, there wasn't a trans community before. There were just men. I'm talking specifically about men here. There were men who became apparent women and lived their lives as women. They're not really women, but they fit into the female section of society relatively seamlessly. But there are others who don't fit in at all. In fact, they make a big thing about not fitting in and insisting that they are biological women. This is madness. It's just plain mental illness. And they're being facilitated by people like this London fellow in Wicks, and by Peter Tatchell, something I cannot understand, because they are anti-gay as much as they are anti-women. I'm talking about the lunatic end fringe of the trans movement now. So what's the double standards? Racists are people who think that other races are subhuman to them. People who do not believe that men can turn themselves into biological women by putting on a dress and some lipstick, that's not an irrational hatred of a group of people. That's biological fact. And Tatchell knows that. Prejudice is prejudice. Yes, it is, but we're not talking about prejudice here. He's conflating a couple of things. He's made a sort of sandwich here. He's used racist up there and prejudice down here, and then he's brought the trans lobby into there, in the hope that you'll swallow the whole thing. Well, I don't, and I doubt very many people do. Let's see, it says here, outrage as Wicks boss says trans-critical shoppers not welcome in our stores, sparking backlash. Well, yeah, as I said, Wicks, one of Britain's largest suppliers of home improvement products, not for much longer possibly, controversially carried a float at Brighton Pride last year with the slogan, no LGB without the T. Well, that's wrong, because there's plenty of LGB. The T is not even related to that. I mean, it's not even related within its own system, because if a man says that by putting on a dress that makes him a woman, then he's not trans anymore, is he? He's a woman. So even within their own system of what passes for logic, it doesn't make any logical sense. Yesterday, Fraser Longdon, the firm's chief operating officer, took part in an online trans summit hosted by Pink News. Mr. Longdon said, well, yeah, we've been through that. It says here, the Retail Week, future leaders. I'm not too sure about that, Mr. Longdon. What else do we have here? Yeah, we've been through the whole lot. Well, look, my conclusions. I know some people think that sex is a matter of plumbing, whereas others think it's simply a matter of interior decoration. But I know that there is a substantial section of my viewers here who probably think that Mr. Longdon is just a tool. Till next time. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the granniopteryx design or Grambo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.granniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share.